Just say no. Chapter 2, The Smythes. Kurt exited Sebastian's car as soon as it came to a stop and rushed through the door, calling out to his boyfriend's mother. Amelia? Mama Ami, what's wrong? The small woman came from the back area where the cozy family room was located. Her eyes were red-rimmed, showing that she had been crying. Upon seeing this, Kurt rushed forward and gathered all 5'2" of Amelia Smythe into his arms, hugging her tightly. Oh no, what's happened? Sebastian entered, closing the door and looked over at his father. He had come into the hall from his office, raising a brow at his son. Seb was scowling. First his ex and now my mom. Is there anyone not trying to steal my boyfriend? He throws his hands up, going to the kitchen and still muttering to himself about eviscerating Blaine. Your ex? Does he mean Anderson? Is that kid bothering you still? Stuart Smythe asked as he looked at Kurt with concern. I'm serious this time, Kurt. You should get a restraining order. His behavior is bordering on obsession. Oh no. There's no bordering, Papa. Sebastian called from the kitchen. The fracker proposed. He did it in Dalton. Got the warblers involved. My warblers. While I was away. There was a slam of a cabinet that made Kurt wince. He involved his father. His brother. His father. Papa, he involved his dad. Sighing, the blue-eyed boy kissed Amelia's temple. Let me deal with Seb. He moved to the kitchen. Sebastian Smythe. Destroying your mother's kitchen isn't going to rewind time and stop what happened. He scolded, with his hands on his hips and lips in a mew of displeasure. The parents grinned at each other and then moved to the kitchen. No one could get their son to stop his reckless or careless behavior like the little powerhouse that was Kurt Hummel. He had 3 or 4 show choirs present. Confetti, flowers, and a completely horribly manipulative proposal that included not just all of your friends, but your brother and dad. Kurt, he involved your dad. Sebastian was facing his boyfriend with his arms crossed defiantly. I swear he better steer clear of me for a long time because I can't promise to stay as nonviolent as I did today. Groaning, Kurt said. Bastian, you know how I feel about that. Well, sometimes the point can't be gotten across with just words. That was proven when you used words repeatedly to explain to him that you aren't getting back together. Do you need to go in and sing Taylor Swift to him? Will that help? I'll drive you. Sebastian snapped, shaking his head. Maybe he only speaks music. It's all that can penetrate the gel. Okay, can we never use the word penetrate and Blaine in the same sentence again? Thank you. Kurt asked, his eyes going shuttered. There were just some things he couldn't think about ever since he found out about Blaine's infidelity. Things that still hurt because he always felt inadequate over them. Sebastian deflated as soon as he saw the look on Kurt's face and moaned because he knew he'd lost in that exact moment. Frack, he was weak for this man. Moving forward, he hugged Kurt tightly. Hey, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that, babe. He caressed Kurt's back and sighed. You go talk to Mama. I'll make us some coffee and join you two in a moment. Hugging his lover tightly, Kurt nodded and pressed a soft, chaste kiss to Seb's neck before turning to Amelia. Linking arms, they moved off to the family room to talk. Well, you're almost as bad over him as I am over your mother. Sebastian's father laughed, leaning in the door. You know what they say about bad boys, right, Papa? Sebastian asked, his smirk firmly back in place. It had been his own father who'd given him the warning about his fate. That their kind made the best husbands and fathers once they found a partner. Their person to love. They would be committed and smitten for life in most cases. No man was pulling the wool over their eyes when it came to dating. Speaking of, Mr. Hummel found out today. I'm expected for family dinner the next time Kurt is in Lima. The nervous look on Seb's face said it all. Bert Hummel had quite a reputation when it came to his baby boy. Mr. Smythe outright laughed at his son's worried look. I had to bear with your grandpapa, you'll survive, Congressman Hummel. Turning, he called back. Just try not to slam his cabinets and make Kurt yell at you. That could go a long way to helping your case. Groaning, Sebastian finished the coffees and moved to the family room. Amelia sat on the love seat next to Kurt, their hands clasped tightly. My father, he isn't going to recover this time. The doctor says he's too ill and doesn't have much more time. I need to return to Paris, but that will leave so much in New York undone. Can you move into my apartment in the city and watch over the progress on Sebastian? Please, Kurt, it would put my mind at ease and save me from trying to find a service all the way from Paris. Biting her lip, the petite woman was fighting tears and trembling. I don't want a stranger in my apartment. Hugging this woman, Kurt was certain she had become a second mother to him. Had helped him understand that if he started calling Carol Mom, it wouldn't dishonor his mother or upset his dad. Kurt could do nothing but hug her. Oh, Mommy. Of course, I'll take care of everything in New York. Don't worry. You take care of your father. Sebastian will stay at Dalton. Sophia will be fine, and I'll check up on her at her school for you. The only thing I can't help with is ensuring your husband doesn't live on takeout. He teased lightly. But I might know a nurse with an abundance of time since her sons are always busy and away, and her husband is frequently in DC. When she can't be with him, I'm sure she'd love to cook and leave him easy heat meals that are much healthier. Kurt gave a conspiratorial wink. At that point, Amelia did break down crying. Leave it to Kurt to help make things better. She had not known that upon starting to work for Vogue as a liaison between Vogue.com and the Paris magazine, she would meet a boy who would become more than a godsend, not only professionally, but also to her family. Wrestling Kurt from Isabel had earned some sort of monumental professional achievement in its own right. Her ability to staff her own office at what she deemed their worth, along with being able to offer Kurt flexible hours as well as health benefits, cinched it. Of course, Kurt put it in his contract that Isabel got to borrow him, which she always seemed to do around the time the latest issue would be released. If Sebastian doesn't marry you, I'm introducing you to my nephew. She insisted once more. It was a constant tease, which Sebastian saw as a real threat because he was pretty sure his mother meant it. I refuse to let you leave this family. Which makes at least 3 of the Smythe household still on the fence about Papa. Seb said to everyone in the room. Entering with his laptop, Stuart took the seat that Kurt vacated to allow him to sit beside his wife. If Kurt ensures I don't eat burgers, pizza, and Chinese food until your mama returns, I'll write him into your place in my will. The man quips as he orders the tickets for both Kurt and Amelia to New York and his wife on to Paris. You just got me disinherited, babe. Are you happy? Sebastian wrapped his arms around Kurt. He was teasing Kurt, but the teen's heart was so filled with gratitude and love for the other because of what Kurt was willing to do, not just for his mother, but for his entire family. Kurt, I hope you don't mind staying until Monday morning. Amelia will need some time to pack, and the 2 of you can fly to New York then. Seb's father looked up. Shaking his head, Kurt smiled softly before answering. Not at all. I was only going today because I didn't think you all would be back until then. Spending a weekend with Bastian not home didn't seem fun. Dad was flying out tomorrow morning to DC. Kurt sat up and groaned before saying, My dad has my luggage. Getting up, he pulled his phone free instantly. Hey. Oh, Mom. Yes. Where is Dad? No, my suitcase is in the truck. No, of course I didn't. I told you about Bastian. Oh no. That's a tale for another time, though I'm sure Dad and Finn can't wait to tell you. The trio listened to Kurt's side of the conversation and was left in varying states of amusement as he gestured and became more animated talking to Carol Hummel. Oh, thank Gaga. Yes, I'll text the address. You should both come, trust me, and it'll be safest if you're here. No, I think we should let Finn settle into the idea more. Bastian has had enough trauma for one day. Kurt laughed suddenly. I love you too. Thanks. Bye. Turning back, he beamed. Mom is having my dad bring my bags. I'll cook. They won't be here till supper time, so I invited them to stay. He informed the group. Amelia stood, nodding as she told Kurt. That's lovely. I've been dying to meet Carol. Just let me clean myself up, and I'll come down and help you, darling. The two set off, not bothering with their respective Smythe men. So much for next time Kurt's in town. Stuart laughed at the panic on his son's face. Don't worry. I'm sure he won't kill you in your father's house. The elder squeezed his son's shoulder, laughing. Just don't show him the gardens. He might consider outside the house. Frack. I hate you so much, Dad. Seb slunk down into his place on the sofa, whining. He's just taken over my whole life at this point. Accept your reality, son. Go to NYU as you plan, and in a year, ask the boy to marry you. The attorney rolled his eyes at his eldest's antics. He's the best thing to happen to you, Sebastian. You know it. We know it. Prove it to him, and if you have to, prove it to his father. You're a good boy on your way to being an amazing man. We all see how happy you make each other. In the end, that's all any parent wants for their child. Bert Hummel isn't going to be any different. Stuart looked at his son sincerely, and his tone was now honest instead of playful as he'd spoken. Looking up, Seb's eyes were now less panicked and more secure thanks to his father's words. Thanks, Papa. I needed that. Standing, he smiled, smelling the telltale sign of Kurt's cooking. I'm going to help. If I can get red meat on the table, I bet I can melt Mr. Hummel a little bit. That's my boy. Always coming up with a plan B. The elder laughed as the serious moment between father and son passed back to easy joking.